All right, I'm going to do this extremely extemporaneously. I thought about writing an article, but I thought that since a lot of this stuff is my personal goals, my personal values and preferences and these kinds of things, I would just do a video, and so maybe that will communicate more of the humanness of what I'm thinking about, what I'm looking for, and what I'm anticipating and hoping, and that kind of thing. So about this intentional community thing that I've got myself excited about, I uh, started hanging out with some people online on the Google Hangouts, and I really valued the community there, and I really valued the sense of connection. And as I began to think about, well, gee, I love this connection that we're having online, and how do I make this better? How do I, you know, how do I increase this? How do obviously I'm liking this. I'm staying up late at night talking to people online, and who I feel like there's really good connection with. And how do I make this better for me? How do I enhance this? And so I was like, well, maybe I need to try to like enhance my my personal relationships around me, and that's good and stuff. But there's is a lot of personal relationships having the peculiar or particular values that I do and preferences that I do. You can't always quite get that quality of connection with the general population. I have a very unique set of values in terms of liberty and empathy and symbiosis. And again, so when I identified those values, I realized, well, I want to create a little community of people who are sharing these kinds of values, who really value their personal autonomy, who really value deep and intimate connection in their personal relationships, and who value, at least to a certain extent, a certain amount of symbiosis with people, with themselves, and with the environment, with their surroundings, with their place. Um, and so yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I want to create a small micro village of people sharing these values. And what do these values mean? What do I expect? And so I wanted to kind of, what do I anticipate? I anticipate about a year from now, I will have saved enough money to at least get serious about making some offers on a piece of land. Um, at least the plan is right now. And I consider this like the initial step. This is the step one, stage one, groundbreaking thing to be improved later, perhaps. Right now my financial means are limited, and so the land would be limited that I'd purchase. And maybe we do some really great things here for a year in this first stage one place, and then maybe we move on to the place where I live the rest of my life, which is a little bit better and with a little more financial means. But in the meantime, I feel it's really need to demonstrate the principles, demonstrate the values, demonstrate the possibilities, and then you know I can take more risk. I can feel more comfortable taking more risk, and with more money. Right now I'm thinking, you know, about 4 to 6 families, family household units, married couples with children, or single people with children. If I don't know about a single person in one house, I might want to ask to see if we can get some co-housing going on if it's just a single person with no kids. But my plan is to, buy about 6 acres, so there'd be 1 acre per household, plus 1 community acre. I'd like to build some houses on this land, and these houses are going to be very rustic. They're going to be like, a log cabin type of thing. This is not going to be hooked up to the grid, per se. I want to make every potential available for people to have electricity in their houses. I know I do not ever intend to live without an internet connection myself, if I can help it. So, I plan to have it in a place where there's cell phone coverage, where we get some 4G going on, and some solar panels and an internet connection and all the wonderful things that comes with a little bit of electricity. But things like we might not have is like forced air heat. Um, well, we'll probably go with wood stoves or rocket mass heaters. We probably won't have electrical refrigeration. We'll figure out some kind of evaporative cooling technique or root cellaring technique. Sorry, I'm doing this during the day. I have my youngest daughter's asleep, and my oldest daughter, Anna, is right here. And she's playing with the keto right now, and the cat has tried to gain safety in my lap. So this is what's going on. But if I don't take these opportunities to do these things and perhaps not the potentially best times, they may never happen. So I just want to collect some thoughts that I'm having in my head and relate them to this video and to kind of share my spirit of what I'd like for this project, for this experiment. I guess that one of the biggest things that's kind of leading me, motivating me, is besides the desire for this very intimate connection that, you can online, you can get a wonderful connection with people, but there's, in person is nicer. There's some really good stuff that can happen in person in terms of just that yeah, I don't know, that symbiotic living, that win-win. You can't give somebody online a hug. You can't pat them on the back. You can't cook them, share a meal with them. I guess you can sort of in a virtual sort of way, but yeah. So I really want to increase this great connection in a really kind of a little more intimate way, in a real life, sitting across a table from someone sort of way.
Okay, you bear.
Hope this is okay that Anna's talking and stuff, but we're doing a little video. Um, so yeah, increasing the connection. I'm increasingly becoming less enthused about persuasion. I don't know if persuasion is a strategy which I want to employ a whole lot in the future. And what I'd rather prefer is sharing and contribution, sharing ideas, contributing ideas, and what's more is I'd like to share and contribute in way of demonstration. Like, to me, demonstration is far more persuasive, convincing, mind-changing than words and rhetoric. And so, yeah, I think it'd be a very powerful thing for people who value liberty, for people who value autonomy, people who not only have these goals, but they extend those goals not only to the political, social spheres, but they extend these goals to their personal relationship spheres. And this is where this is like a force multiplier. This is where I think liberty and autonomy go logarithmic. It's great to apply it to the macro sphere, but when you apply it to your personal relationships, this idea of each person, is respected for who they are, and that you're never sacrificing any person to your needs, that you want to find means, you want to find strategies in which everyone and every person you have interaction with finds a win-win with you, that you win and they win. It's never, like when you take liberty and autonomy to the personal relationship sphere, that force multiplier, that logarithmic scale, that hockey stick graph, where people don't need to sacrifice their needs anymore. They can that there's a willingness to spend some time and find the win-win. Like right now, I'm taking a little time away from Anna, and she wants to play, but she's not pressing it too often. But she's getting her needs met to interact with the cat, and we're holding hands right now, and yeah, so. And then of course, take that. I think if you take that one more further, and I understand this is probably the one that a lot of people might be nervous about. The environment. This scares me because the state tries to tell me about the environment all the time, and it always ends up sucking for me. And I get that. I don't want to force anybody to do anything. I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't do. I'm just saying I think it'd be really cool if we could take this spaceship Earth and we could really live in a symbiotic way here. In a way that's it's not destructive, but it's regenerative, creative, regenerative, that heals perhaps some of the damage that's done, and we can move forward that way. And I'll leave that where it is for the now. But so the plan, yeah, buy some land, get where each household has an acre, each house has an acre. I plan to build a couple houses, not very big. Anywhere from 500 to 800 square feet, and invite people to come live and experience that community. And my expectation is that no one's going to leave, sell their house and move into a cabin in the woods, out near, maybe Ithaca, New York, or Corning, New York, or something like that. So I doubt that that's going to happen. I wouldn't expect that. But I figure if I get out there and I build some really simple structures, some structures out of pallets and fiberglass roofing material, and make these the size of like a 12-man tent, I could probably get this done in the first summer that I'm there, making 5 or 6 of these. And this creates a place where you have a solid structure to live in that's off the ground, which lets in lots of nice light under the shade tree so you don't bake like you're in a greenhouse. But in a place that's solid, that won't be, sway in the wind too much, like a tent would. A place that if it was to be a rainy weekend, that you could spend it, sleeping on your sleeping bag, reading a book, or playing cards, or just chatting with somebody else in the 12-man tent buildings. And this would be a good place to start. It'd be a good way to say, hey, come and see, take a look. And in that time being, Anna and hopefully Freya and I will be beginning planting some seeds for food forestry and for perennial vegetables and things that take a long time to develop: grapevines, trees, shrubs, asparagus, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. Get these things planted so that 5 years from now, we're just picking these things. We're just eating and living off the land in this way. We're harvesting acorns and crushing them for acorn meal, and we are, eating black walnuts, and we are eating honey locust pods, and barberry and bilberry and wonderful Russian olives and fruit trees and all these different things that trees and plants can give us and provide for us. And from there start building these very unique, very special, ecologically sound structures, these Ayler structures. And they're kind of like underground cabins or partially earth-sheltered cabins. And these things are not completely inexpensive. They might cost $2,000 to $3,000 per dwelling of 500 to 800 square foot, but it's doable, and it uses a method of construction that one person can do. And I might have Anna to help me a little bit, but I'll probably be on my own for a couple of these. And then as these more permanent structures come in that become energy efficient, where it makes, say in the winter, a very realistic option, then people can start living there all year round. And so maybe it might take the first year build these little temporary structures, in the second year build the first Ayler structure, earth-sheltered house. In the third year, build another one. And maybe in that third year, someone is living there full-time. Some family is living there full-time. And then Anna and Freya and I and Alana have another Ayler structure that we can stay in the wintertime. And then keep adding to these, maybe 1 or 2 a year. And as I have help, and I hope to, these should be fairly interesting structures for anyone who's, interested in ecological housing design. And I hope to perhaps get volunteers and perhaps even get some students who want to learn some ecological building techniques, and maybe they would pay me money to teach them things, and maybe that would provide a little bit of extra help, or at least a little bit extra funds to buy the materials that are required, the steel rebar and polyethylene plastic and nails and screws and reclaimed windows and reclaimed doors and these kinds of things. And yeah, start putting in some infrastructure into these buildings and some gray water waste management, marsh swale things. Basically, the gray water from the house goes and is cleaned by plants, by special marsh plants, and is used to irrigate fruit trees. And then put in some solar panels. And I mean, I don't know if I'll have the money to. I'd rather spend $1,000 towards a third Ayler structure than $1,000 towards solar panels for the 2 houses that are already standing. But the option's always there. People can come and they can live and they can add solar panels, and just make sure we don't have too much of an issue over here. So yeah, and I'm kind of like ultimately. Come here, let me give you a hug. Oh, I think she stubbed her toe. So the plan is that what would happen ultimately is that we'd have 4 to 6 of these residences on the land, and people would be living there, and it would be a thing where your food budget is pretty minimized because of the great stuff.
Let's go outside and play.
Okay, we're gonna go outside and play soon. your food budget is minimized because of all the food that's growing on the land. Your electrical bill is minimized because you're living off a solar panel. Your water bill is minimized because you draw water from a cistern that is located above the house, the residence, on a hill. Suddenly, like, you don't have rent, and all there is like maybe this unfortunate domination feudal land tax. And of course, if so long as these things aren't official code-built houses, they're just garden sheds or barns that people happen to be camping in as my guests indefinitely. Maybe like this land value doesn't really go up because of these structures. Like, it just kind of, maybe it goes down, and then of course maybe that makes the land assessment that much less, and maybe that means pay less of this feudal land rent. So that's kind of the idea, is to kind of live a little more simply, but with internet connections, with a little bit of electricity, with some modern conveniences, you know. But this way, we get to pick and choose what conveniences we want. We get to pick and choose what ways we get to integrate with systems which are enmeshed in domination institutions. And it could be really cool to hang out with people with similar value sets in a little bit simpler lifestyle, allowing for people who want to, do things other ways. And, I don't know, I have a friend who has a little bit of a homestead, and when Anna has been there and visited, she comes alive. She, like, comes into her whole full Annahood. Her Anna-ness is vibrant. She chases the ducks around, or says hello to the chickens, or feeds goats, and she just loves it. And I want to create a little bit of that for her, and I also want to create some community for myself and for her. You know what I mean? Geez, if there was other people with kids who could come and stay and create this little community in which the kids could play and they could learn. And again, there'd be so much to learn. I mean, gosh, all the homesteading, all the science involved in gray water management, in all the science involved in composting, all the cool stuff involved in engineering and building structures, and in husbandry and horticulture, and oh my gosh, I mean, and I have a little bit of background in education, so maybe we set up a little mini school and a little homeschooling away from school, or away from home type of thing. I don't know. These are my thoughts. These are my dreams. This is the vision that I have for this project, for this experiment. And I would really hope it could spread. I really hope that maybe we could demonstrate how cool this is. And of course, we build these little, these little 12-man tent buildings, and we could invite, some couch surfing, some anarcho couch surfing, and people could come and visit and say hello, and maybe other people are inspired to do the similar thing. Maybe we find that too many people want to live here. Maybe we find that we want to increase to 20 people, 20 units, and this land gets sold to some other, the people living on it, and then they continue this anarcho community, on their own, and we build a bigger place, another place, a little bit better, a little bit maybe more conveniences. As we get older, we might, this might be 10 years down the line. I might want a place a little bit less rustic, maybe. I don't know. Play it by ear. I want to try something. I want to do something. I'm tired of bitching about domination, and I want to stop some of this autonomy leakage that happens all the time. I just want to be happy. And so, yeah, I want to try to do something, and I want to try to create something. And this is my plan. This is my vision for how to do something a little bit different. And maybe it fails, and I'm out a couple grand, and that's okay. At least I tried. And if it succeeds, the gains could be huge for me. I mean, again, to have this great connection that I have online with these wonderful people, in real life would just I think it would rock. I think that would create some personal awesomeness, and I think it would be awesomeness for me. It would be awesomeness for my whole family. I would hope that it would be awesomeness for the families who shared and participated in this. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to describe. I think we're going to play outside soon, and so I better go make good on that promise there. And but yeah, thanks for listening. And maybe if I don't know you, we don't have a good connection yet, you know, maybe contact me. Maybe we'll get you into the Google Plus community, and maybe I can inspire you to start your own community somewhere. Um, Probably in the initial steps, I'll probably limiting the invitations to people who I already have good connections with. And then as alien structures get built, as these earth-sheltered houses get built, as the cordwood masonry houses get built, as the cob houses get built, maybe we start inviting more people, and maybe more people start building. And yeah, when it's not just me building, and when somebody moves in to one of these small mini structures and says, "I'm going to build my cordwood masonry building over here. Is that cool?" And I'll be like, "Sure." But I mean, like, there is a limitation of space. If I buy 6 acres, probably 5 families is the most we can have, so 20 people total, including all the potential kids and things like that. So, 10 adults. Um, but yeah, I'd like to create some wonderfulness for the future. I mean, some of the stuff that is in symbiculture, um, symbiotic interactions with the environment, some of this stuff is like a pension plan. You start some of this food forestry and shrubs and trees, and these plants are perennial, and they produce for decades or maybe hundreds of years for you. So a little bit of labor now, and your children are still harvesting from the work you've done. This is what I call a pension plan, nature's pension plan, and yeah, this is there's really some interesting ways and techniques and strategies out there to work cooperatively in a macro scale and community scale, on a personal relationship scale, and on an environmental scale, which I think, I don't know, my vision's changing, my thoughts have changed. Probably if I was to speak with myself, the 20-year-old self of mine, and I would think he's a moron, but the current self right now is thinking that this macro personal, macro autonomy, this personal relationship autonomy, and this environmental symbiosis. Oh, we have a poopy. Okay, we're gonna have to take care of this. We have to check a poopy. In a minute, babe. I really think that this is the way forward. That this is the win-win that we're all looking for. This is the happy outcome that we all desire, and I don't think talking about it is going to be particularly persuasive. Talking about it to so many people either scares the crap out of them, or they just dismiss it as utopian, or it hasn't been productive. It's been good to a certain extent. And I've enjoyed a certain extent of interactions and the philosophy and the ideas, and I like that kind of stuff for sure. I love philosophy, but I think demonstration is just more potent. To show a community that doesn't need violence is like, wow. You know what I mean? That doesn't need, just not need violence, on the macro scale, but not on the personal relationship scale, and not on how they raise their chickens scale. You know what I'm saying? And so if that appeals to you, contact me. I think this YouTube account is hooked up to Google Plus, and let's get inspired. Let's create some community. I'd love a distributed networks, distributed networks of Galt's Gulch, right? So this idea of people who see these ideas and would like to practice these ideas and just tired of the domination system, and they just want to get out, and they create their own little mini society. Okay, so I gotta check a poopy, and we want cookies, and we want to go outside. So I want to create a win-win for this girl. Yes, yes, we're gonna get you some cookies, okay?
Okay.
Okay, let's go create some win-wins with cookies and poopy checks and outside time. And thank you for listening. Bye.